Joins the growing line of phones, particularly out of the Chinese market, that are starting to sport metal in their frames. The Mi 4 comes with an apparently elaborately constructed metal skeleton that not only helps with sturdiness but also helps with its looks. Even the buttons on the right side of the phone are metallic, and this time around you're getting the easy to reach power button that is now beneath the volume rockers. Follow the line around the phone and you'll see clean elements that include the headphone jack up top, the micro USB charging port on the bottom, and a speaker that is also on the bottom. The metal skeleton keeps and despite its simple outlook, the feel of glossy plastic still tends to lend itself to some slippage. Now, handling the 5-inch form factor is a breeze compared to other phones, especially the ones coming from the Chinese market, that have at least a ½ inch more diagonally. Getting around with one sturdy phone, accustomed to seeing anyway throughout screens of this size and caliber. Colors are quite vibrant and the contrast allows for some deep blacks, making the viewing or even the gaming experiences as good as they should be on a flagship device. The viewing angles are also quite good too, with the image losing fidelity only at angles that are steeper than what practicality dictates. And if you look closely around the screen, you will see a small black line that frames the image, somewhat adding to the overall bezel size. Now, it's not a big deal by any means and is not a big offender as we've seen on other displays, but it is something that I thought would be worth noting. But underneath that enjoyable display is also the processing power that we've come to expect from a flagship like this, the Snapdragon 801 and the Adreno 330 backed by 3GB of RAM. It's certainly the kind of power that you would need in order to do everything from working and playing. Play in particular was pretty dang fun on this device, as I had little to no slowdowns and even highly intensive games. One particular game that I got sucked into, Shadow Fight 2, showed off the contrast possible on this display as well as never quite slowing down. But then it is in hardware that we see the main issues with having a Chinese market phone outside of its origin. This version of the phone only connects to HSDPA networks, making the internet experience less than ideal for Western audiences. While that is something I've certainly had to contend with in the past, I've unfortunately had plenty of connection issues and haven't been able to use mobile networks consistently. As I said before, however, Xiaomi is trying to reach more audio out of the battery usage. It definitely took at least 8 hours to reach single digits. We then move on to the camera, which is mostly a standard affair, and another example of Xiaomi ticking off all the right boxes on the Mi 4. 13 megapixels are what you get in the rear-facing camera, with a very impressive 8 megapixels packed into the front-facing camera. The interface is pretty simplistic and can be changed from simple to advanced, which does add some settings, but mostly removes the icon labels. Ultimately, the functionality is on par with other smartphone camera offerings, which include burst modes and even a refocusing mode if you want to play with your depth of field. Camera quality is about as Chinese build, but it's not hard to install it yourself, and actually, thankfully, in my version of this unit, the Play Store was actually already installed. Bubbly icons are par for the course here, all sprawled out on home screens that will only be organized by your will and use of folders. Due diligence is thus needed here, but you will be able to make a clean interface with some effort. After that, the menus take on the same simplistic but attractive style, and just about everything moves in some sort of interesting fashion via some lovely transitions. Get underneath the surface and you'll find quite a lot of customization. A powerful theme engine gives you a slew of new themes and options to get away from the norm. The notification dropdown can be customized to a good amount to show icons in rows or grids, or even show certain information like your current bandwidth speed. The capacitive keys can be further used for long press functions as well. Xiaomi's own apps are all still in Chinese, making them impossible for anyone who can't read it. While I didn't have too much trouble with the applications I installed on there, I did see the Google Play Store crash on more than a few occasions. At the very least, you can say that the MIUI isn't always improving. Updates are available on a weekly basis, and might be a mixed blessing because of how frequent they'll notify you of that. Now, the Mi 4 isn't available widely just yet, but if you do want this phone right now, the currency exchange will make this about $350 US. That's actually a pretty good price for some really solid hardware, which is the best way to describe this phone. Make sure you'll be able to use it on your network though. And in the end, the Xiaomi Mi 4 is another example of a point I posited not too long ago, that if the Chinese market for smartphones is trying to break free and show us what it's really made of here on the other side of the world, then examples like the Mi 4 serve as signs that they are definitely succeeding. What you get here is a package that is easy on the eyes and easy to use thanks to the somewhat controversial take on Android called MIUI. We're seeing a new batch of metal-clad smartphones, especially in the Asian market, but it seems that they're all going